Field engines, similar vehicles and Mojo tyres ensured everyone had an equal opportunity to win the competition on track. True sportsmanship is the fundamental idea behind the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. The last chance races had their usual share of incidents, as drivers sometimes make overly optimistic manoeuvres while trying to gain spots on the track. Only the top 6 from each class would continue racing for the finals the next day. After the drivers' parade, it was time to get serious. The last set of races, the finals, were about to take place. All that had happened until now was just for position. The final is the race that pays the trophy and the title of Grand Finals Champion. Who will be DD2 champion? Who will win the nation's championship? To answer all those questions, the races must be run.
150-metre back straight, that's the longest straight on the circuit. Quite uphill actually, so the gear ratio needs to be sorted out. That really catches a lot of people out. So coming up the top section of the track, bit of a formality, but coming through the S's, through the middle of the circuit, that's a tricky part.
The first final to take place was a 20-lap race for the Junior Max competitors. On pole was Matthew Parry, who was focused on taking the win after his pre-final victory. Edward Brand from the UK and Yuko Sasahara from Japan had their own plans as well and promised to go for the front. The start was clean with only minor contact. At the end of the first lap, it was Edward Brand who had taken the lead over Sasahara and Parry. As good as it was going for the top 3, the day had turned into a nightmare for Edward Jones, the driver who qualified as number 1. Edward's race day was beset with problems, and midway through the final, he was seen limping back to the pits and into retirement. Back to the front, Edward Brand was holding a steady lead over Sasahara. Then, with just 2 laps to go, the Japanese driver slipped into the lead. His supporters from the land of the rising sun burst into jubilation, cheering Yukio all the way to the checkered flag. At the end of the Junior Max race, the top 3 were: first, Ukio Sasahara from Japan; second, Matthew Parry from the United Kingdom; and third, Edward Brand from the United Kingdom.
Very, very happy.
I love the Rotax World Final best of all, and I tell you why. I like the world mix of the big, the medium and the little. Makes it special.
Senior Max saw their final go off promptly at 2:10 p.m. The pole position was occupied by the UK's Luke Varley, who was looking to capitalise on his pre-final win by grabbing an early lead in the final. At the drop of the green flag, it was Matthew Hamilton getting a great jump and assuming an early lead. Behind Hamilton, second place belonged to a handful of drivers over the first 5 laps, until Mario Vendla from Estonia assumed the position. By this time, however, Luke Varley, who had dropped back to 5th on the first lap, was already back in the lead and pulling a small gap on the field. The lead Varley from the United Kingdom had was one he would keep until the end of the race.
My confidence was getting higher and higher as the year went on, and from there I just believed in myself, really.
This meeting for me is fantastic. I mean, the number of drivers, the number of countries, it's a true world championship, and I have to congratulate Rotax because it's a fantastic show.
The dream of all drivers here is to become such a Formula 1 star as Jenson Button, who was actually the Rotax European champion. And of course we wish all the 216 drivers to be such a successful Formula 1 driver in the future.
On row 4 from Belgium, with 3 minutes to go.
DD2 was up last, and all indication through the week had Ralph Odenal the odds-on favourite for the title. At the start of the race, Ralph was flanked by German Dennis Thun, and most expected an all-out battle between the two, since the two had won 5 out of the 6 DD2 heats. But that was not to be, as Dennis didn't get a good start, and it was the American Cody Hodgson slotting into second. Unlike the heat races, when Ralph had checked out on the pack, this time he couldn't get away from Hodgson, who stayed on his tail. Behind, the South African Caleb Williams was to move from 6th place starting spot up to 3rd by lap 2. Then on lap 8, when Cody Hodgson made a passing attempt on Odendaal that didn't come off, he was into 2nd. From that moment on, Williams stalked Odendaal until there were 4 laps to go, and then made his move for a lead he was to hold until the end. Back in the pack, there was passing and more passing all through the grid. The biggest mover of the race by a long way was American Troy Castaneda, who charged through all the way from last place on the grid, 34th, all the way up to 5th place. After the final DD2 race, the top 3 were: first, Caleb Williams, South Africa; second, Ralph Odendaal, South Africa; and third, Cody Hodgson, United States.
At the beginning of the event, my qualifying didn't go as well as I expected. I was expecting like a top 3 qualifying, but I think I was about 9th. And then obviously the first qualifying heats, I think I finished 32nd. So from then on, I was just like, okay, just give it your all. That's all you can really do.
After all the podium appearances and all of the carts and support gear had been given back to the race organisers, the last item on the schedule was the always popular Drivers' Party, this year held out in the desert.
Okay, so now we're at the prize giving party. It's been a great world final, great racing, and now we're going to party. Hope to see you next year.
Also, the finals of the Mojo tyre changing competition took place in the evening. For now, from all of us at BRP Powertrain, goodbye from Ghibli Raceway in Sharm El Sheikh.
Okay, right now? Yeah? Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, grand finals. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Feliz cumpleaños to everybody.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, grand finals. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.